thank you for tuning in to another top 5 fragrance video. This time we're going to be doing something that a lot of people have done recently in the YouTube fragrance community, and that is looked at fragrances from the Spanish clothing firm Zara. Now, Zara fragrances are made by Puig, the Spanish perfumery that now looks after the manufacture of fragrances from the likes of Jean Paul Gaultier and Paco Rabanne. So theoretically you would think with Zara you're getting a cheap fragrance but designer quality. Now, to be fair, that's not exactly true, because Zara fragrances, while being very nice, do have a major flaw, and that's that they don't last particularly long, but they are really cheap and you will enjoy them. So here we're going to pick out 5 that I certainly like. These are in no particular order. And we're going to start with this one that I've got on the screen now, you can see in front of you. And I've put a box next to it that came in because Zara fragrances tend to look very similar in terms of the bottles tend to be very similar. So I've put the box aside of it so you can see the difference really. And this first one is called Intense Dark Exclusive. This came in a 2 bottle pack that you can see in front of you, with another fragrance that I've not put in this list, which is called it's called Rich Warm Addictive, and that's one that's had a bit of hype on the YouTube fragrance community, but I don't personally like it particularly. It's a bit coconutty for me. This, I think, is the better of the 2 from the tobacco collection. It's a very pleasant fragrance. It's been likened to Carolina Herrera's 212 VIP. You get tonka and apple, but it's not particularly tobacco-y despite the name it comes from. But it's certainly, you know, the better out of the tobacco collection for me, and I would say one of Zara's best releases this year. Now, moving on, the second fragrance on this list, like I say, they're in no order. The second fragrance on this list is called Night Pour Homme 1. There are 3 in this collection, but personally I think this is the best one. It's kind of a juicy, kind of almost sticky fragrance, eau de parfum concentration. Being compared to sort of really wide array of fragrances, which you don't quite understand when you look at sort of for granted reviews. It's kind of a sort of juicy, I don't know, fruity, but kind of also dark, nighty fragrance. You know, I think it's one you'll enjoy. Doesn't have a great deal of versatility, this. You're not something you're going to get regularly a lot of daytime use out of. It's more for a nighttime, which you'd expect a nighttime fragrance, especially eau de parfum concentration, to have greater power than this. But it's you know, very good fragrance, and certainly a you know, solid fragrance in Zara's lineup. Moving on to the third choice from Zara's current fragrance line, and this is number 9. Zara has a numbers range where they have like 7, 8, 9 in this example, covering different bases. Now, this fragrance is a lot like one that I'm going to show you put at the side of it. It's a hell of a lot like this one here, which is Dior Homme by Christian Dior. It's also very similar to Valentino Uomo. They share that sort of almost lipsticky kind of, you know, vibe. Very nice, very nice. I mean, this obviously Dior is an absolute classic, one of the best fragrances to come out in the last 12 years or so. So, you know, Zara copying that, you know, can really be excused. But yeah, definitely one to look out for. Obviously, it's not going to compare with its, you know, its designer influencer, but it's along similar sort of lines. And if you don't want to buy this, you don't want to spend a lot of money on this, well, this is a great alternative. Thus, it's a little bit different. I would say probably nearer to Uomo than Dior Homme, but you certainly see the influence. Next up, we have Weekend Till 3 AM. Now, this is from the Weekend range. You would think by the name, Till 3 AM, it's kind of this club banger, you know, what you're going to be doing till 3 AM, or maybe out in a nightclub. It really isn't that. It's kind of a fresh, fruity, pineapple-y fragrance. Some have compared it to Creed Aventus, weirdly, but, you know, well, maybe not so weirdly, given that anything that has a hint of pineapple is compared to Creed by some people online, which is crazy. To me, more than anything, this smells a lot like something that's completely miles away from Creed Aventus, and that is Paco Rabanne Black Excess. Because that kind of sort of strawberry, sort of sickly sweet sense, but it's kind of smoother as well. It's a weird sort of combination. But it's certainly very pleasant, something we like, and actually longevity on this is pretty good for a Zara fragrance. Probably one of the better ones in my opinion. if it's going to be compared to anything from the niche world, not being Ventus, then the one that would be compared to is Centre Man by Bond number 9. And then the last one on this list, I've zoomed in because it's a smaller one. I've only got a 30 ml here, which I bought in Spain on a recent holiday. Probably will buy a full bottle of this at some point because I do really like this one. It's called Soul. It's from the Cities range. It's been compared a hell of a lot to Paco Rabanne Invictus, which again I do own, so I can smell them side by side. And yeah, I mean there are some similarities. Some people call it a clone. It's not a clone at all. In my opinion, it's a lot less sweet than Invictus. It's sort of more smooth and kind of a bit more stylish than Invictus. Longevity not as good as Invictus, but I think actual fragrance, I would argue it's better, even though it's, you know, a fifth of the cost. Anyway, that's all for me for now. Thanks for tuning in. Check out Zara's fragrances because they are cheap as chips. You do certainly get a lot of value for your money, and you know they do compare to a lot of decent designer fragrances as well. So in some cases, people might think you've actually bought that hype designer fragrance, when in actual fact you've got something from Zara that does the same job. Thank you.